Hi, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Something's Gotta Give. It's your girl, Mary B. And I'm really excited about today's episode and the next few episodes to come because I'm doing my first deep dive in literature. I had mentioned in my last podcast episode that I really wanted to do a more in-depth conversation in the chakra system, and I didn't know when I was going to do it. And I asked myself, well, why not do it now? And the answer was fear-based, and I'm no longer my harshest critic. Instead, I'm becoming my best friend. And I'm nervous because I care so much about delivering this information correctly, but there is no better time than now, and I can only get better in this practice if I just trust that I'm able to do so. So I appreciate you making space for me and diving into this book called Eastern Body, Western Mind by Anodea Judith together. I'm really excited about this because this particular book was the first one that really propelled me into my healing journey. I read it almost 5 years ago, 4 or 5 years ago, and it was introduced to me by an old friend. And I didn't have a clue on what exactly the chakra system was. I didn't know how it operated. I didn't know where it was in the body or what parts of life were connected to each one. I didn't know when each one was developed and how essential it is to our overall archetype of life. And I feel like, with spirituality just on the up and coming, a lot of people may hear the word chakra being thrown around. We see images of it, but I don't think we necessarily know the truth of this system and how it operates and how we can benefit from really learning the truth of this and incorporate it into our everyday healing. I mean, I'm telling you, it has really been a life changer for me. And I have not read the book since the first time 4 or 5 years ago. And I've been called to it for quite some time now. And I guess the time has come. I finally answered. And reading it the second time, oh my gosh, I'm in a different place, right? So I'm interpreting the information from a different place. And it's kind of just like reading your favorite book again or seeing your favorite movie again. When you revisit a subject, you notice new things and you take away, new information or kind of receive the information better. So I'm really excited about doing this with you all. Can you tell? I'm excited? I feel like a little kid at the candy store. I really like to read, y'all. I really love to learn. I like to get other people excited about learning. I mean, intelligence is power, especially in today's world. We see how education is really being taken away from us right from underneath our feet. So I would just like to do my part and spread awareness into the development of self. All right, on that note, this particular episode, I'm going to be talking about just the overall chakra system. And in the following episodes, I'm going to go in depth into chakra 1 and up until chakra 7 and really go in depth on when they're developed in our childhood and how they affect us in our everyday lives and kind of bring what's happening in the subconscious to your conscious reality. So if needed, you can make the changes you need to become a better, more desired version of yourself. I did make notes like I'm in school because it's important to deliver information correctly and factually. So why the book is called Eastern Body, Western Mind is because the Eastern world is the part of the world that honors spirituality more freely in medicine practices. But the Western world is where we live today. And both parts of how they operate in medicine, so Western being kind of more advanced in surgeries and information, and we have the best schools, so we can often learn about like diseases and illnesses like at a more advanced pace than what they do in the Eastern world. But what we lack here is information on spirituality. Sometimes we don't necessarily invite the information of spirituality into medical practices. Sometimes, we learn that science isn't meant to cross paths with spirituality. I believe that there's a duality in both. There is power in science and there is power in spirituality. And you cannot do a full healing upon yourself if you do not embrace the idealism of both worlds. And that's why this book is titled that, because it does bring in the practices that they do in the Eastern world. So the chakra system was invented in India over 4,000 years ago, right? And that's where yoga was found, and that's where Buddhism and Hinduism and more traditional or older religions were created. But it's also vital to integrate our part of the world, right? Because not many of us live like how they do on the Eastern world. You know, we are becoming a more advanced, we're becoming more advanced in totality. Like, it's not just the United States anymore. You know, you have Japan and England, and even I went to Brazil, and everything's just becoming way more advanced. So it's important that we integrate it all together. If the outer world is to be transformed, the process must begin within. And I used to be somebody who always wanted to make a big impact in the world. And how can I make a change? And you think that the change starts outside of you. It never does. The change has to start within you. If you ever take the chance to work on something within yourself, you'll see how that has a direct impact in everything else around you. Like, for example, if you are a mother who was addicted to opioids because of a surgery you had to undergo, but now you have an addiction that came from your pain pills that you had to take from recovering from your surgery. Once you heal yourself from that addiction, you see that your family is more healthy. You feel like your connection with your kids are better. You feel like you can show up to work in a better state of mind because you worked on yourself. Therefore, the world has changed around you. So there is no way to make an impact in the world if you are not tending to the self. If the inner world is to be transformed, it must be understood in light of the outer forces that shaped it. Once you leave the house in the morning, right, you don't necessarily have a choice or control in what's going to happen outside of you. Car accidents happen, plane crashes are happening far more often than they've ever had before. You don't know what's going to happen at work. You don't know if you're going to witness life. You know, we don't have control over life. So it's important to understand what's happening outside and how what's happening outside is having a direct impact on you. How are you letting the outside forces control your daily life? And as you transform yourself, you transform the world, right? Now, the chakra system, she refers to it as a rainbow bridge. Why? Because every chakra, each 7 chakras are associated with a different color. And they represent modalities of the human experience. A chakra is a center organization that receives and assimilates and expresses life force energy. So each chakra serves a purpose. And they receive what's happening in the outside world, and it creates essentially your inside world. Activities in the chakra, once it's received outside information, it influences your glandular process. If you don't know what glandular process is, it's essentially like your inner organs. So your chakras have a direct effect in what's going on with your organs inside of your body. It also has a direct effect with your body shape, chronic physical ailments, your thoughts, and your behaviors. The lower chakras are physically lower to the ground and relate to practical matters in our lives. And your lower chakras are your root, your sacral, and your solar plexus. Those lower chakras relate to practical matters in your life, which covers survival, movement, and action. Now, you have 4 remaining chakras in the totality of the 7 systems, and that represents mental realms, work on a symbolic level through words, images, and concepts. That's your heart, your throat, your third eye, and your crown chakra. Chakra is connected to the psychological health part of your body, goes in this order. So your root chakra is connected to survival. Your sacral chakra is connected to sexuality. Your solar plexus is connected to your power. Your heart chakra is connected to love. Your throat chakra is connected to communication. Your third eye chakra is connected to your intuition. And your crown is the overall archetype of consciousness within itself. Each chakra also has an element that is connected to each one. So your root chakra is earth because it's your first one that's created. It's the grounding of yourself. Your your sacral is water. Your solar plexus is fire. Your heart is air. Your throat chakra is sound. Your third eye is light. And your crown chakra is thought. When energetic contact is made through the body, it is called grounding, right? So your first chakra is where you travel when you want to become grounded. We hear that word grounding quite often. We know that may look like a variety of things. So maybe you hug a tree or touch a tree, or maybe you walk outside in grass without your shoes on, or they even have shoes that are being created with grass inside of them. So you put your feet inside of it and you're supposed to get a sense of grounding. Just anything being connected into earth, right? That's an energetic transition that you're making with something that is very natural. And it's very necessary to do that because even though consciousness is all the way up at the very top of 7, you can't live up there. You are a human body having a human experience. So it is very vital that you do grounding within every wake of your life to bring you back to this very reality that you're living. If you ever practice yoga, you can hear often that you have to ground through the back body and rise through the front body. That's 2 currents of energy that's constantly cycling through your body. And this book explains it in 2 ways. So energy transferring down from your top chakra to your bottom chakra is a current of manifestation. And why it's called the current of manifestation, because your ideas, your dreams, the goals that you think about that you want to become real, the things you want to manifest, right, come from your head, or downloads that are received through your ancestors, God, whoever it is that you look to for a higher power, right? That's entered through your 7th and your 6th chakra. That's your higher level chakra systems. That has to travel down all the way to your first chakra, which means you have to become really grounded in this reality for that to manifest. Now, that is a current of manifestation. It has to travel through every single chakra system within your body, and it has to be embodied in totality with every chakra system for what it is that you're just trying to manifest to become a reality. Now, the upward current of that is current of liberation. Liberation is freeing those kind of stuck thoughts. Like anything that you'd like to change, anything that you'd like to release, it has to go all the way up and out of your body. And this is the ongoing cycle that goes in with your energetic realm, right? Huge part about understanding how to heal the chakra system is understanding that there are chakra blockages that each and every one of us have. None of us are perfect. All of us are always striving to be better. Well, we should all be striving to be better. And if you ever come across an issue or a part of yourself that you haven't necessarily figured out how to even become aware of it, it really might be a very deep chakra blockage. And those are started with childhood traumas, cultural conditioning, limited belief systems, restricted or exhausting habits, physical and emotional injuries, and lack of attention. Those are a plethora of reasons as to why anybody can have blockages in your chakra. And it is very possible to have all of these things going on at once, which is why you're experiencing such blockages within each chakra. When difficulties occur in life, a coping strategy is created. When difficulties continue, coping strategies become chronic patterns anchored in the body and psyche as defense structures. So if you are someone who just happened to smoke a cigarette one night at the bar because you find your friends doing it and it was kind of just a cool way to make you feel better, and you might have a bad day, but you're no longer at the bar. It's just the middle of the day and you're like, oh, I remember that cigarette made me feel better. And then now you are a chronic smoker. I feel like cigarettes is maybe a little outdated. I should be talking to my group of people, which is millennials. So instead of cigarettes, we have vapes, and we know how vapes is literally just attacked our society, especially like our age group and everybody younger. So let's take that as a coping strategy, right? Once you started that, you didn't think that it would be a coping strategy, but I feel like many people can agree that vaping is a very easy coping strategy. But because you continued to practice it, it wasn't just a 1-2 time thing. Now you're a chronic smoker. It's become anchored in your body and your psyche as a defense structure to not really address whatever it is that you're going through or you're trying to like get away from, right? So if you know what your blockages are. So whenever that comes up in your mind and you choose to go to your coping strategy instead of facing whatever it is that you should be facing, you're reinforcing this habit so harshly within your chakra, within your body. And that's not only is it affecting your spiritual sense of not being able to change your coping mechanisms. Some coping mechanisms are physically addicting, vaping being one of them. So that adds like a duality to the difficulty of trying to change a habit, right? So it's very important to be mindful on, once you do understand what chakras are blocked and you want to change, if you have like a physical addiction to something that you want to change, it's a double duality to healing. Doesn't mean that it's not possible to change that. It's just going to be a little bit more difficult. So I just say that to raise awareness, to be mindful of any behaviors that you know you can have a physical addiction to. If you don't tend to it, if you don't be mindful of it, it can manifest into something that you might not have the full control over. Okay. Unblocking a chakra requires addressing the problem on multiple levels. There's 4 ways essentially that she breaks this down in the book. The first one is understanding the dynamics of that chakra. So you have to really understand everything that is going on with a chakra that you're trying to heal. The second one is examine the personal history related to that chakra's issue, which 9 times out of 10 means you have to look into what was happening in your childhood during the age of development that chakra starts to develop. And I'll also go into depth as to what chakra is developed within your age frames in your childhood. Number 3 is apply exercises and techniques into your healing. So we know that body holds trauma, so sometimes it's not good enough to just do talking, or essentially healing is multidimensional. So you have to make sure that you implement your body into the practice of changing and evolving. And the 4th is balance, excess, and deficiency. Each chakra is determined by it being practiced in over excess, or if it's being deficient in usage. And when I do my future episodes in depth on each chakra, I will give examples as to how one's behavior can be exemplifying excessive use of a chakra, or if it's being deficiently used. The way one copes with stress, negative experiences, or trauma falls into one of 2 categories. Increasing one's energy and intention in order to fight the stress is one, or decreasing energy in order to withdraw from the situation. That is an example of excess or deficiency. If you avoid, that leads to chakra deficiency. Overcompensation leads to chakra excess. An excessive chakra is too cultured to be functionally useful. Let me say that again. An excessive chakra is too cluttered. An excessive chakra is too cluttered to be functionally useful. If you have a vacuum that is just full of gunk and you never empty it out, how useful is that vacuum going to be over time? You'll find yourself going over the rug and frustrated that the machine isn't picking anything up, but it is your duty to clean out that machine in the first place for it to be operating in the highest way possible. It's the same thing with our body, okay? So if your chakra is too cluttered, if you have too much gunk in it, then you're not going to be able to use it to the highest function, to its best function. Excess and deficient chakras are both a result of coping strategies designed to deal with stress, trauma, or unpleasant circumstances. Coping strategies doesn't necessarily always have to be a substance. Coping strategies can look like binge watching television. It can look like avoiding an assignment that you know you're supposed to be doing. Also, I know sometimes you'll hear random noises in my podcast. It's because I record this in the privacy of my own home, and I am in the middle of a very large city, so I cannot help if airplanes fly overhead. And just needed to say that because it bothers the heck out of me, and it's so hard to stay focused when I hear this big machine going over me. Anyways, there are 6 basic chakra character structures. They are creative, lover, endurer, achiever, hysteric, challenger, defender. All of those have different body builds, and all of those are tied into what chakra you struggle with the most. Okay? Each chakra also has a right that you claim to be a belief, right? So your root chakra has a right to be here, the right to be present in the world. Your sacral chakra has the right to feel and to be felt. Your solar plexus has the right to act. Your heart chakra has the right to love and to be loved. Your throat chakra has the right to speak and to hear the truth. Your intuition, or your third eye, is having the right to see, to have clarity, to trust that your intuition is spot on. And your crown chakra is the right to know. So to know that the information that you're receiving is accurate. We may know this as clairvoyance, right? Identity is a constantly changing and expanding manifestation of a spirit. Without it, our power is to diffuse, but if we cling to it, we become limited. If you cling yourself to one identity and one identity alone, you're limiting yourself from becoming every other version that you were supposed to become throughout this lifetime. What Jay-Z say? You say I changed, like I worked this hard to stay the same? Exactly. That's essentially what that quote means. Identity does give us meaning, but the more you allow your identity to change means you have more meaning to your life. Now, those are all kind of more information, positive things about the chakras. I wouldn't say positive, but there's always like two-sided coins to everything in life. When a chakra isn't necessarily balanced, or it's, in excessive use or deficient, it will hold a demon, and each chakra has a demon that is tied to it. So your root has the demon of fear. Your second chakra has the demon of guilt. Your third chakra has the guilt of the demon of shame. Your fourth chakra has the demon of grief. Your fifth chakra has the demon of lies. Your sixth has illusion, and your seventh has attachment. And it is possible for you to struggle with all of these things. The more traumatic your upbringing, the more traumatic your life is, the more you're going to realize a plethora of these things might be very true for you. It is possible for you to have both an excessive and deficient chakra. Believe me, I had that. I had that with a few of my chakras. Um, and the stages for each development of these chakras occur from birth to 12 months is when your root chakra is essentially born. From 6 months to 2 years is when your second chakra or your sacral chakra is born. From 18 months to 4 years old is when your solar plexus chakra is born. From 4 years old to 7 years old is when your heart chakra is born. From the age of 7 to 12 years old is when your throat chakra is born. Your third eye is born within your adolescence, and your crown chakra is born and developed throughout your adulthood. Now, chakra development during childhood is relatively unconscious. We are not aware of this world. It's our first time living it. So we're just intaking information. So it is not essentially our fault how our chakras are developed. However, in adult development, by contrast, it is largely conscious. We have to want to develop it or it won't happen. I know I just said so much information. Those were just all of my notes that I felt were just very vital to lay down the groundwork on the understanding of just this overall system. It is much deeper than photos you see online of people who have the tattoos, of just stating you may know a little information about the chakra system. There is so much information that goes into the totality of this system, and the more you know it, the more you're eager to learn about it, the easier it is for your healing to happen. Once again, I'm going to say that trauma is stored within the body, and your chakra system is a big part of your body. So it's really vital to implement this information into your overall healing of whatever it is that you're trying to heal. For me, it was my childhood trauma. It still is my childhood trauma. And before I knew about this book, I don't think my healing would have been as successful as it has been because of the information that I really learned of the overall system. So I apologize if this was a little dense. I know sometimes it's not fun to do dense work. It's kind of like learning about science. It's not an easy subject. I am trying to be as realistic about this as possible. And again, this is my first time doing this. So I hope that you benefited somehow from the information that I said today. And the next following 2 episodes of my podcast will be in a depth dive into the chakras. So next episode, I'm going to be talking about your chakra, your sacral, and your solar plexus, the development stages of it, and my personal excessive and deficiencies in each chakra, and how I've been able to re-implement new teachings to my inner child. And the last episode will be me going over the 4th through the 7th chakra, your heart, your throat, your third eye, and your crown. And I'll wrap it up as best as I can. But I'm really excited about this. I'll close this out by saying, do some homework. It is so important to research the things that are important to you and be aware of things that keep coming forth to you. So if you're someone that keeps getting brought the information of the chakra system, or if you're someone that's very interested in the healing process, or if you're just interested in how your inner child went through the stages of development, this is a perfect subject for you. As always, thank you so much for tuning into my podcast. Thank you for giving me space, and thank you for growing with me. It is never not appreciated. And I just love growing with you. Until next week, I send you love, light, wisdom, and courage to take this week on by its head. Okay, you got this. Be that strong little angel you were meant to be. Until next time, y'all, have a great one. Bye.